We're joined now by the director of the EU-Russia Centre and a former advisor to the European Commission. Fraser Cameron is with us live now from Brussels. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. So, just describe to us the significance of this pipeline and what it means for the European energy market.
It's huge for the European energy market, and it's a good sign of the possibility of developing a close partnership between the European Union and Russia. As one of your experts said, Russia is the main supplier of gas to Europe, and this will continue for the foreseeable future. So having this pipeline, which is part of the trans-European networks, is a clear public sign of the confidence in that relationship.
And when you speak about that relationship, this pipeline would, of course, bypass Ukraine, which has been at the centre of some fierce disputes over gas prices over the past few years. Would you say that Russia has proven itself to be a reliable partner in the past for Europe?
Well, it had right during the Cold War. It supplied energy to Europe, so it achieved that reputation, then put that reputation at risk because of cutting off supplies to Ukraine and thus to Europe over the last two winters. So that was very much an own goal for Russia. And now it has to try and recover that reputation and demonstrate that there will be no further interruptions.
And how difficult is that going to be?
Well, I think it perhaps now is easier with the change of government in Ukraine. I think there's a better chance of getting a deal between Russia, Ukraine and the European Union for uninterrupted supplies through Ukraine. And I think the construction of the Nord Stream pipeline will give a boost to those in Ukraine arguing that now is the time to do such a deal.
So the pipeline is expected to be functional by the end of next year. That's when we should see the first gas being transported through it. But what are the chances that it could still suffer a major setback? What are the obstacles to construction being completed?
There are no real technical obstacles. I mean, essentially it's a question of supply and demand, and the companies behind that, Gazprom and their German equivalents, have taken the long-term view. There are fluctuations in demand. Demand fell last year in Europe, but they're looking for the medium term, the 10 to 20-year period, and think that the Nord Stream pipeline will be a major element in fulfilling growing demand for gas in Europe. But
how do you assess the prospects for short-term demand for gas in Europe?
No one can, I think, predict with 100% accuracy because energy demand is switching more towards the east. It depends very much on the recovery in Europe. If we grow at 1.5%, which is what the European Commission predicts, perhaps optimistically, then there will be increased demand for energy in Europe. But if it stagnates, then we will see also a move to switching to other types of energy as well. It depends very much on the pricing as well as the long-term supplies.
So do you think that Europe has been successful in diversifying its sources for energy?
Up to a point. I mean, energy is a global market. Europe gets much of its energy from North Africa, from the Middle East, LNG from Qatar, for example, as well as from Nigeria, Angola. So it has many opportunities around the world to buy energy, but the fundamental fact remains in terms of natural gas, Russia has the largest supplies and will continue to supply Europe for the next 25, 30 years.
Okay, Fraser Cameron, a former advisor to the European Commission and director of the EU-Russia Centre, thank you very much indeed for your time. We do appreciate it.